Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with February's exceptional story, The Hollow Triptych. We're about to investigate a troubled sleep. Nightmares are not uncommon in London. Many Londoners are plagued by dreams of thunder, or fire, or ancient tombs, and wake sweating in the wee hours with foreign images haunting their minds. But their ubiquity does not mean they are meaningless. And you have been woken by a very particular dream. A dream dominated by the Recondite Painter's veiled triptych. A dream in which certain other powerful parties are interested. This merits further investigation, so we can return to the Hollow Street Gallery. It seems unlikely that you'll get back to sleep now, and the painting's whirls roam still in the eye of your imagination. An investigation is in order, or we could return to bed. You will not allow your precious respite to be interrupted by such fripperies as dreams. Your eyes are heavy, your bed is calling. Let's return to the gallery. Your journey into Hollow Street is unseen by even urchin or cat, and you are just about to apply pick to the gallery's lock when a faint light emerges from within the exhibition floor. The Recondite Painter trudges down a stairwell and into the gallery space, candle in one hand and palette in the other, before disappearing behind the curtain that hides the triptych from view. Damn, no furtive night viewings now then. Although, why is the painter in pyjamas? Can't be sleeping here, can he? The brickwork is rough and the tiles slick, but the garret window fortuitously open. He is sleeping here. Change of plan. You lower yourself into the Recondite Painter's studio. If he didn't want guests, he shouldn't have left a window open. Dim shapes loom around the room. Space is cramped and the Recondite Painter is not the tidiest tenant, but somewhere amidst the laundry and half-painted canvases, there must be some clues as to the nature of this elusive triptych. You have no way of knowing how long the painter will be working downstairs. You'll need to snoop quickly and quietly. We can ferret through his art supplies. Perhaps the paints and solvents hide the secret to the triptych's mesmerizing effects. Solvents, pigments, binding agents in the form of reptiles' eggs. Strange things to hoard for any normal citizen, but nothing out of the ordinary for an artist. These colours, though. A shimmering powder that you suspect is made from phosphorescent beetles, a Gantt paste of crushed moth wings, a silver liquid with the whiff of scintillact, and something like rust that smells of roses. Other pigments hail from the surface: orpiment, sandarac, cinnabar. Jars full of carmine cochineals that must have cost a small fortune. This is a treasure trove of colour, painstakingly measured and meted out for use. But you see nothing here that might induce such violent dreams. We can skim the scattered books. They're everywhere, lying open on the floor, piled on top of each other with paintbrushes used as bookmarks, in precarious and paint-spattered towers. Many volumes are standard fare, and might have been stolen from the library of Carey's Academy, the 77 Lamps of Architecture, the Corpus Hermeticum, a much annotated copy of Zur Fabelehre. Among the volumes shared by many students of fine art, there are stranger tomes. Unseen Fires, a study of colour in the Neath. The Aesthetics of Dream. Boils and Conjunctions, in incomplete taxonomy. The collection is eclectic enough that little stands out as out of place. Except for that. Less a book than a scroll, half wedged behind a sofa cushion, depicted in shaky woodcut, printed on the single visible leaf, is an illustration of a triptych of mirrors. It is labelled in a curling vertical script Udum? But the painter has annotated in his own hand, the holding place. You're in the possession of a mysterious and venerable scroll. Its browse undisplayed landscapes. Much of the wall space is given to landscapes that, for whatever reason, were deemed unfit for the exhibition downstairs. On a granular level, this is certainly the Recondite Painter's work. The brushstrokes have the same whirling, sweeping quality. The pigments share an eccentric vibrancy of the work displayed downstairs. The canvases have the same preoccupation with warped, impersonistic landscapes. And yet, these works fall short of greatness. They are clearly reaching for the same heightened, dreamlike aesthetic, but cannot grasp it. They are limpid, muddy, overly fussy. You flip through the piles of disgraced canvas, each bearing the Recondite Painter's spidery signature and the date of their completion. 1894, 1896, 1897, January of 1899, although which 1899 is uncertain. What happened in recent months to elevate the painter's talents so spectacularly? We can rifle through more hidden works. Canvases lean against each other at the fringes of the room. All are turned to face the wallpaper, as if the Recondite Painter cannot bear to look at them. Each of the paintings turned to face the wall is a portrait. They are of varying quality and size, although all share the distinctive coiling style of the painter's landscapes. The same person is never depicted more than once, and the faces are varied in race and aspect. All share a certain look in their eyes, a hunger and desperation, and the sallow neglect of the haggard and dispossessed. None are dated, but scrawled in charcoal on the back of each frame are names: Amelia honey-mazed, Gregor trapped in the forest, Ophelia bargained and lost. You face the paintings back towards the wall, avoiding accusatory gazes. And then finally, let's read his journals. It seems hypocritical to be conscious of personal privacy when breaking and entering. They may contain valuable information. Have the technique, my brushwork is passable, my eye is practiced, my knack for mixing colours exceptional. I see such wonders in the gallery of my mind. Why then can I not bring them to canvas? I shall give up the arts altogether. You flick through the journals. The Recondite Painter has anguished in this manner many times over the years, but never has he been away from his paints for long. Well, we can exit through a window. You hear the stairs complaining at somebody's winding ascent. Either the painter has returned or another criminal is casing the joint. Either way, it's safer to leave. Crouched on the moss-slick roof tiles of his studio, you catch a glimpse of the Recondite Painter as he enters. His smoking jacket is new, although already spattered with a significant quantity of vibrant pigment. His shoes, while not quite shiny, at least appear free of holes. If he notices that anything is out of place in his sanctum, he does not show it, collapsing instead into the couch as if exhausted. Perhaps it is the moonish light, but you fancy you catch the faintest sheen of silver in his eyes. But then he is asleep, and it is impossible to tell. You wind your way down from the rooftops, mysterious scroll in hand. The gallery can wait. What is the painter doing with a fourth city scroll? This smells like a lead. Translation and insomnia, Udum, the complex script of the Carnet and the fourth city before it. It is notoriously difficult to learn. Add to the fact that you can barely nod off before being woken by dreams of pigmented terror, and the task of translating your pilfered scroll is a daunting one. Let's toil long into the night. An English Udum dictionary, a cartload of caffeine, and a healthy amount of desperation. At first, you mistake the text for a treatise on 4th City art. There are extensive references to the creation of a gallery throughout, but this is not the case. It is a misapprehension you labour under until deciphering one peculiar and elliptical idiom that recurs throughout the work. The text is concerned not with artwork or windows, but mirrors. Your eyelids droop. You have not slept well since this whole ordeal began. Perhaps you just rest your eyes for a moment. If this is the predicate, then that must be... Oh damn, and what tense is this? If only you weren't so tired. You are chased, ever inland, further into your silver-whaled jail. That awful, ossifying tide erodes the ground beneath you. Vivid stroke by vivid stroke, orpiment and mumia and sandaric pigments bound with yolk from reptiles' eggs. One last indignity upon the pile. Only the image can survive here, and the image does not depict you. How many of yourselves have been claimed by this tide? It is impossible to say. You have ever had a tenuous grasp on your own presences. Out into the mirrored nothing. There is a boundary, and one which you are fast approaching. Well, it's back away. Your jail, never infinite, is shrinking. Soon there will be nothing here but paint. More of you is absent than usual. More and more is lost to the flood, to the image as it dries upon the recursive forever of your jail. Soon this little silver space in which you have coiled for so long will be full. All blighted pigment and empty skins in the places that you used to be. Paint drips over your scales, carmine, violet, viridian, cosmogon. Does he know what he is doing? He must. You hiss in pain, 100 forked tongues tasting the air, as another self is lost to the great work. You gasp awake. The candles have burned low. The Hudum scroll lies on the table, haunting. I guess we shall toil long into the night once again. The candle flickers low at your bedside. Your eyes ache from straining at unfamiliar characters, but you are making progress. In the fading candlelight, the story becomes clearer. This is the record of a 4th City silverer. The scribe is paranoid and evasive, writing sometimes in code and omitting key details as if to throw off spies, but their intent is clear enough. They were experimenting with mirrors and entrapment, aiming to bind some elusive enemy that haunted their dreams. Their proposed gallery is a prison, and the Triptych is their first successful cell. Drowsiness sweeps over you like a tide. In the candlelight and the dark, you too might be toiling in a prison cell. You are coiled in the last unspoiled corner of your once recursive prison. A dream of a painted sky spirals from each direction. It looms, a creeping veil that shrinks your world with each inch it takes from the silver. We can plead for aid, but there's nothing else for you to do. This is death. Each brushstroke falls like the headman's axe, and another of yourselves is lost. This is not freedom, not in the way you expected. You have been too long isolated, out of practice, misjudged the terms of the deal, had forgotten how being related to unbeing. But nonetheless, it is the promise, and so the conduit is still open. Somewhere out there, in the unchanging stillness of the is, there is a dreamer. The dreamer has seen you, and you have reached out in the only manner available to you. The dreamer visits your thoughts in sleeping moments. The dreamer feels what it is to be you. Perhaps the dreamer is with you now, a silent passenger. A cobalt river flows across the mirror, and another self is frozen in time. You coil yourselves, raise your heads up high and proud, and hope the dreamer listens. Help us. Help her. You jolt awake in your chair. We can conclude our translation. You nearly have the full shape of it now. Hopefully we don't fall asleep again. You lay your pen down for the final time. You slam the dictionary closed. You are finished. The last age of the Fourth City was a chaos of wars and infighting. This scroll is the coded diary of one of the Khan's priests and glass whisperers, trusted with developing a way to contain the insidious influence of the many-fingered kings. The priest thought to turn his enemies into an asset, turning the king's own arts and desires against them. He fashioned silvered cells of imprisonment and compulsion. The scribe does not trust his methods to paper, but there is no question now. The Recondite Painter's mirrored triptych, the canvas for his masterwork, is a prison of ancient make. And there is one more thing. Of the construction of the cells, that is nothing. But the scribe does record a rite. One by which his prisons may be safely entered to treat with the kings within. The jailer's privilege. The reagents are few and common. I guess we're going to go and talk to some kings, huh? Identifying a king. The many-fingered kings. We have a bad history with the Finger Kings, I feel. It never ends well. The scroll describes them as cunning creatures from the lands of dream, as powerful foes that the priests of the Fourth City sought to ensnare. You have been experiencing one as a trapped creature in plaintive nightmares. How much do you know of these elusive regents? Yeah, we have encountered the Finger Kings before. You did not claw your way to a foothold in Parabola without learning a little of the serpentine inhabitants of the glass. And this would be because we have a Parabolan base camp. Let's go with this one. It seems like the more interesting route. Any seasoned traveller of the Parabola knows to be wary of the Finger Kings. But any seasoned traveller of Parabola also knows that it is exceedingly difficult to travel there without their knowledge, and sometimes their help. Well then, a trapped Finger King haunts your dreams. All that remains is to do something about it. The story continues in your opportunity deck. Let's see if we can pull the card, shall we? Oh dear, I only have so many cards in my deck. Let's hope it's the next one we pull. Wonderful. At least I think this is it. Yes, you've unlocked this with a hollow triptych. In each direction, your own face. Your own body. Moving 1,000 different directions, 1,000 different coils. Some of your reflections meet your gaze. Some bow. Some bare their fangs. Worst of all are the reflections who will not look at you at all. Who turn their heads away and gather among themselves, resentful, empty of all distractions. This is entirely a prison of you. Well, we can observe ourselves. In this distant corner of your jail, there is nothing else to be seen. One of your reflected heads turns to meet your eyes. Dreamer, I feel you here. Peace could be yours, freedom ours. We taste the knowledge. You possess the means to visit with us. Are you not desirous of rest? The moment is broken by a painful writhing somewhere in your far and distant reaches. You erupt into hissing, and words echo deep in your mind. Our suffering is your nightmare. You gasp awake. Scant minutes have passed since you fell asleep. The Finger King seems to be as good as its word. Well, perhaps it's time to pay the prisoner a visit. You will be plagued by these nightmares until you resolve the business of the painter and the Finger King. Return to Hollow Street Gallery to continue. Well, let's go back there then. London is never truly dark, nor ever truly quiet. But this is as close as it gets. The criminals have gone to bed. The corsairs have collapsed, and the enthusiastic and enterprising have not yet sprung up from sleep. These are the hushed hours, where the eyes of cats flash from alleys and bats flutter in the eaves. Let's enter the gallery. A quick shimmy up the drain pipe reassures you that the Recondite Painter is fast asleep in his garnet studio. The coast is clear. Security has never been a watchword on premises on Hollow Street, and this is no exception. It is almost scandalous how easily the locks give beneath your pick, beckoning you inside and out of the cold without so much as a squeak. The painter's paintings glower from the walls, the muck dulling their hallucinatory colours, obscuring their spiraled landscapes. Behind the velvet curtain, the triptych remains where you last saw it, looming in the back of the gallery, covered with a paint-spattered tarpaulin. I don't have any foxfire candles. Oh, gods. Empty of aesthetes, and with the lights dimmed, the veneer of respectability has fled this Hollow Street address. Once more the shadows grasp, as they do in squats and honey dens. The painted landscapes hang lifeless in the dark. The triptych in the back, covered and looming, is like a vortex for your attention. The Finger King haunting your dreams is imprisoned within, and is holding the rest hostage. If you are ever to sleep soundly again, you must understand what you're up against. I need to go to the bazaar to buy some candles. Be right back. I will never know how I ran out of foxfire candles. I must have done something with them. The Hewdom scroll described a configuration of mirrors, lights, and dreamer that would allow a visitor entry without permitting anything else an exit. There are a number of loose canvases surrounding the triptych that you move out of the way of your ritual area. Most face the ground or the wall, but when you move them, you catch sight of their obverse faces. The Recondite Painter has brought down some of the haunting portraits that he keeps upstairs in his studio. Sallow visages with hollow and distant eyes. What for? Witnesses? Company? Regardless, they are in your way. Your work requires a clean floor. Your candles are the cheap and dribby kind, and your mirrors dusty and scratched. The overall impression is undeniably occult, the kind of tableau that would inspire a Gazette journalist to incite all manner of lurid moral panic. You follow the instructions on the scroll to the best of your ability, and hope your translation is accurate enough. Candlelight flickers on the walls of the gallery, reflected in your inward-looking arrangement of mirrors. The cramped gallery expands within the dirty mirrors, filling the space with room that is not there. Let's unveil the triptych. It will be difficult to enter its painted dreamscape while the entire thing is covered. It will be difficult, too, to pry yourself away from it. You recall the way the Recondite Painter turned his face away from the three-panelled painting when he first unveiled it to you. The coiled brushstrokes that adorn the mirrored surface pull at your eyes, at your mind, like a magnet to a compass point. The tarpaulin falls from the three-panelled mirror, and you are almost caught again in its honeyed tide of attraction. It has evolved significantly since the gallery preview. The second face of the mirror is almost entirely covered with a further spiralling, bucolic landscape. The painting, even incomplete, is a marvel. It is the surface, indigo-dappled and lost. It is parabola, a mesmeric, shifting inconstancy. It is London, but London as it dreams it could be. The interior dreamscape of the triptych is not parabola, not quite, but a mirrored enclosure, an indefinitely reflected bauble from which nothing else can be accessed. There are ways one might enter and not be lost. A diver connected to the surface with a thin umbilical. This, you hope, is one such way. But before I enter the painted prison, I think this is where I shall end this episode. I shall thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. And as always, I'll see you next time.